and I am excited about being back with you guys. Because there's a work that has to be done, and I am ready to do it. So let me go ahead and get started, everyone. My name is Marjorie E. Roberts, and I am the founder of The Money Variable, which is a non-profit organization which focuses on financial literacy, not just the normal budgeting and savings and credit, but we dive into things a little bit deeper than that. We dive into building wealth. We discuss talking about, trust. We discuss real estate. We discuss day trading and so many other different avenues that are important when it comes to finances. So we're trying our best not to leave any stone unturned, as they say. We want to make sure that we cover as much as we possibly can when it impacts the communities, and not just that, for them to be able to be exposed to information that they have not been exposed to before. That is part of our mission and what we do. And tonight, we are going to be discussing something that is near and dear to my heart. In the past, I believe 46 days, our federal government had been shut down. And because of that, a lot of SNAP benefits did not go out as they should. And not just that, because the government was shut down, that means a lot of federal employees didn't have money or income coming in for them to be able to support their families. So tonight's series is going to be dedicated to some information that will be able to assist in times like this. We have to come together as a community and help get out information to those who may not have it readily available. When you go from someone who's earning a good income, every month, to not being sure if you're going to be able to do that, because your job has shut down. So, that's difficult situations. So what we're going to talk about tonight, we're starting a part 1 series of Oh Snap. Tonight's topic is going to be, where can I find food during times like this? We are thankful that the shutdown is currently over and people were able to go back to work, which is a true blessing. And I am grateful, and we here at the Money Variable are excited, about that. But we also want to make sure that people are aware of the resources and different things that are available for when times like these happen. And unfortunately, it can happen again. We don't want it to happen again, but it can happen again. So let me give you a little bit of statistics. All right. But before I give you the numbers, since I am in Mississippi, I did do majority of my research for Mississippi and Mississippi organizations. So just so you know, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, is the nation's most important and effective anti-hunger program. It plays a critical role in reducing poverty, improving health and economic outcomes, supporting people who are paid low wages, and serving as the first line of defense against hunger during economic downturns. Okay, so SNAP is a very important part of our community. When I was growing up, it used to be called food stamps, but they've changed it to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which is headed up by the USDA, which is a part of the federal government. Okay, so now let's talk about the benefits for Mississippians. Okay, so Mississippians who receive benefits between the 14th and the 21st of each month can expect to receive full benefits as usual. Okay, they can expect to receive full benefits as usual. Now, the Mississippians who did not receive all of their funds between the 4th and the 13th will receive the remainder of their November benefits as soon as possible. So when I researched, there wasn't an actual date when those funds will be received. Remainder of the funds will be received for the people who received their benefits between the 4th and the 13th. Okay. All right. So now that we have that particular piece out of the way, let's talk about whom does SNAP reach. And again, the majority of my information is based on the state of Mississippi, but I will have some information concerning the national level. Now, 384,800 people, Mississippi residents, or 13% of the state population, 1 in 8, receive SNAP benefits. It reaches SNAP. Okay. Now on the federal level, nationwide, 41,697,500 participants in the United States of America, or 12% of the total population, which is 1 in 8. Okay, so let me break that down a little bit further. In Mississippi, more than 67% of SNAP participants are in families with children. More than 41% are in families with members who are older adults or disabled. And then more than 26% are in working families. And then on the national level, nationally, more than 62% of SNAP participants are in families with children. More than 37% are in families with members who are older adults or disabled. And more than 38% are in working families. Okay, so let me go ahead and just dispel the myth that people who are on SNAP benefits are people who do not work or people who are trying to take advantage of the system. Of course, in anything, you will have people who try to take advantage of certain things. But when you have in Mississippi, it's more than 26% that are working families. Okay. And nationally, it's more than 38% that are working families. So that means that you have people who are going to work day in and day out who do not have enough money to provide food for their families, and they need assistance with that. Okay, now that data is based off of the federal fiscal year of 2024. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that I gave you some numbers, some statistics, concerning the SNAP program, and kind of dispel the myth that there are just so many people on SNAP benefits, and they're milking the system, but that is just not the case. These families have children. These families some are disabled and taking care of the elderly. And then you also have those who are actually working. Okay, so we do have those factors in place. And again, you'll have some people who try to take advantage of the system. That just goes with any system or federal aid that we have. There's always going to be people who try to get over. All right. Now, so one thing I would like to say is, I understand, because I've been in a space to where, I did not have a job. And I didn't have a job, and I couldn't feed my family, and so I was able to get SNAP benefits. All right. But Then, I started working a job, but then they were saying I made too much money to get SNAP benefits. But when I looked at the threshold, I missed the threshold, but like maybe $500. So I was being paid just enough not to qualify to get food stamps or SNAP benefits. But at the time it was food stamps. Okay. So and I don't want people to feel, like, I know sometimes when you're in situations like that, you can feel like you're the only one that's dealing with things, and you know, um you might experience, maybe reductions or different things of that nature. There might be certain barriers or eligibility limits, administrative delays, recertification gaps, and also misinformation, when it comes to SNAP benefits. So make sure that you do your research when it comes to, your SNAP benefits in your state. Okay. Now, also, the research that I'm going to provide to you concerning the resources that I was able to come up with, concerning for tonight's podcast, are going to be sourced here in Mississippi. Now, I do have a few that are outside of Mississippi, but the majority are in Mississippi. Okay. All right. So we have these Mississippi food resources. We have Mississippi Food Network, which is a statewide distribution. Okay. And we have Mississippi Food Bank. There's an organization that is called Extra Table. Extra Table is a statewide food pantry support. We have Catholic Charities of South Mississippi, and they are in multiple counties. These are the ones that I have for today. But also, I would suggest that, local faith-based food ministries, a lot of churches have food pantries. A lot of communities have food pantries, and also there are also certain mobile food drives that happen and take place, in times like this. And again, this will happen again. Unfortunately, we don't want it to, but it will happen again because it has happened before. Okay. And as of right now, there aren't any policies or laws in place to prevent it from actually happening again. Okay. All right. So for the National Food Assistance resources, we have Feeding America. Put your zip code. They have a website. Go to Feeding America and put in your zip code, and it will tell you the different some of the different organizations who are connected to them in which you can find food. We have 211 or 211 hotline. I was not aware of this, but generally state levels have food and emergency resource referrals. And whichever states participate in 211, you can call and see where you can actually get food for your family. All right, so this particular podcast was not going to be long. I just wanted to make sure that I provided some good information to you guys concerning SNAP benefits. As I mentioned before, they have been funded. And so everyone should be good for the remainder of this year. I have not read all of the information concerning what was signed into law, the policies that were signed into law concerning the SNAP benefits, but I will make sure that I do additional research concerning that. But also, let me say this, SNAP has lifted about 103,000 people above the poverty line in the state of Mississippi, including 49,000 children. But these are numbers from between 2015 and 2019. So I'm sure that the number is much higher now. Because a lot of people just don't get on food stamps to just stay on them. I personally, when I was able to be on food stamps, it was never my intention to get on there and stay on there. I needed assistance and I needed help at that particular point in time in my life. And I was able to utilize SNAP to help me get over that particular hump in my life, that particular challenge in my life. But if you are someone who has been laid off from your job, or you receive SNAP benefits and you didn't get your benefits, make sure that you come back to this particular podcast, because this is some information that you will be able to utilize and help you get the assistance that you need concerning food. Okay? So I just want to thank you guys for joining me on tonight for the Money Variable podcast. Again, my name is Marjorie E. Roberts, and I am the founder of the Money Variable nonprofit. And I am also the owner of Roberts Mangum and Bennett Consulting, which is an accounting firm. And I just want to thank you guys so very much for being supportive of the vision that was given to me concerning the Money Variable. I appreciate you guys so much, and I will see you next week. Peace and blessings. Bye-bye.